Hey everybody, welcome back. These are some bad dates that got exposed on TikTok. Word gets around.
Tell me a first date story when you realized they were not getting another date.
This guy took me to a fancy as steakhouse and we had filet mignon and terribly awkward conversation. When it comes time to pay the bill, he graciously offers to pay, takes out his wallet, pulls out a folded bill, unfolds it, puts it on the table, and slides it towards me with 2 fingers like this. Without thinking, I grab it, put it on the check, slide it towards the edge of the table so our server can pick it up. He goes, "Oh no, that bill's for you." I'm confused. I glance over at the bill again quickly. I see a Ben Franklin and I'm like, "Okay, daddy." But I'm still really confused, so I very hesitantly pick up the bill. And you want to know how rich I became? I became this rich, which is basically filthy rich in bullshit. He handed me a gospel bill. A gospel bill is a fake $1 million bill that has scripture on it that tells you to repent or go to hell. He looked at me dead in the eyes and said, "That's the only cash I carry," which meant he had no money and I had to pay.
Stop! Stop it! Absolutely not! No! Whoa! Oh, Nelly.
Is she all right?
He not only insulted you, he made you pay for his dinner. Oh, buddy. He ain't daddy, he's father. Hell to the no. Absolutely not. The way I would run. You think he did it for the plot? Like, there's no way. Really? I went on the most awkward date ever. Samesies. Wrote a whole TV show about it.
So, listen, I need you to answer this question.
Okay.
Do you play any video games?
Maybe, sometimes. I have a Switch.
Wow. So, like, what do you do with that?
You know, like put it into the slot and put it on the TV.
Wow.
Wow.
So, like,
Wow.
listen, I don't want to be in, like, a controlling relationship,
Oh.
but do you think there's any chance that maybe you can, like, control me? Like, I can give you a controller and you can plug it in me?
Yeah,
and
I'm not
play me like a video game.
Bro!
into stuff, but you know.
I'm literally hiding in the fucking room right now.
Run! Is there a window?
Call my mom and tell her to come and be like, "Oh, what do I do? I need an excuse. Should I say that like my dog died? I don't know. What do I do?"
I love how she actually has to think of a lie in order to get out of that situation. Me personally, I think it should be more normalized to go up to someone and say, "You really creep me out, so I'm gonna go." Like, why do we gotta lie?
I don't get mad. I get stabby.
Why do we gotta say we got a boyfriend, we're pregnant? Why do we need to make ourselves unavailable in order for a man like that to realize that he's being a weirdo?
He's fragile. He's very fragile.
Also, where the hell are you, girl? Are you in a hospital? This looks like a hospital. It looks like a hospital, or like maybe it looks like a university campus, but like that carpet is giving hospital. Don't call your mom, call the freaking police. Why hinge dates scare the shit out of me? Same girl, same. It's a toss-up. Like, it's literally like roulette. Am I gonna get murdered? Is he gonna be nice? He's probably gonna make me pay. He's gonna be weird. They're all kind of weird.
So for context, I was chatting to this guy, he was from Canada, he was on holiday here, I didn't know much about him, he didn't know much about me, and we had decided to go for drinks. So he texted me and he's like, "Oh, I'm here," and I was like kind of across the road, like preying to see if he was actually there. And he had lied about his height, first of all. It's not a preference, I don't care about if you lie about your height, but just like, the difference that he said was just so funny. His profile said 6'3". This guy was 5'8".
No!
5'8", guys, he was 5'8". And I literally walked up to him and I wasn't even trying to beef him or anything, but I was like, "Nah, this can't be him," like. And he was like, "Oh no, it's me." Do you know how awkward that is? So carrying on, we get there, he doesn't ask me a single question about myself, he's only talking yapping about him. I was like, "Do you like Barcelona? How are you finding it?" Because he was on holiday. And he was like, "Yeah, it's good, but the Spanish people aren't like the Spanish people in Montreal, they're all white." So confused, I was like, what is this guy talking about? Oh, for context, this guy was white, by the way. So I was like, well, what do the people in Montreal that are Spanish look like? And he was like, "Oh, you know, they're all Mexican, they're Colombian, all this stuff." And I was like, you know, that makes them Latino, they're not Spanish, they just speak Spanish. You idiot. He was like, "Oh yeah, that's true." So this is where it gets back. He says to me, unprovoked, my parents would kill me if I brought back a girl that was Latina. I was just sitting there, keep in mind, I'm half Venezuelan, my mom's Venezuelan, I'm Latina. So I was just like, obviously not looking, But I was like, what the f would you? So I was like, why is that? Why do your parents not like Latinos? And he was like, oh, they just don't like what they don't know. They think that Latinos are lazy and they steal people's jobs and da 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 da. Keep in mind, how can you be lazy and then steal someone's job? Idiots. And I was just there like, what the fuck do I do? Like, he tried to flip it around on me and he was like, oh, well, what would your parents do if you brought home a Latino guy? And I was like, well, they wouldn't really care because my mum is half Venezuelan and I'm Latina. And he was like, oh, well, you never told me that. And I was like, well, you never f***ing asked me because you haven't asked me a single question this whole day.
Period,
and before
babe.
this, when we were walking, he was like imitating my accent, my British accent. And I was like, do I have like an accent or something? And he was like, not the strongest I've ever heard, but you look like every other white guy I've ever seen.
This is a great date.
And I was like, oh, really? And he was like, oh, don't be offended. You are white. And I was like, I'm not offended you're calling me white. I'm offended that you're saying I look like every other guy.
Okay, it's actually alarming. This is one thing I really don't miss about dating. When you go on a date, you're supposed to like have a conversation like with another person.
Oh, really?
You're not just supposed to sit there and talk about yourself. When I tell you the amount of dudes that just sat there and sold themselves, they were like essentially like pitching me. And in their mind, it's like, hey, look at me, you should sleep with me. Yeah, look at me, I do this, I do that. Yeah, I'm so charming. Blah, blah. No, to the gentleman watching this, listening to a woman, listening and caring about what she has to say and not thinking about what you're gonna say next is probably gonna get you laid.
Nice.
Literally, it's that easy. You don't have to sell yourself. You don't have to pitch me your crappy personality. We're having a conversation. Listen to her. Equal conversing. Like, I like how just like literally the bare minimum is just too difficult. That's how you know that a guy really does not care about you. If he does not ask you a single question, talks over you, doesn't listen to you, run, babe. Run.
This date happened last year, and I was actually set up by his mom. And him and I talked over Instagram for probably a year before we met in person. It's kind of weird. But a key component to this story was that I was playing a gig, and the mom was there, and she had this beautiful, huge beach hat on. And I just thought, that is such a pretty hat. Then after my show, she came up to me and was like, hey, I have a son. I want you to be in the family. Go on a date with him. So long story short, we set up a date. I didn't want anything too fancy, so we ended up just meeting up at this little cafe. Him and I are hanging out, we're getting to know each other, but I was kind of distracted the whole time. I noticed that there was this lady wearing this beautiful beach hat behind him. And I'm thinking to myself, where have I seen this hat? And keep in mind, it had been about a year since I had seen his mom. Yep, then it clicked. I'm thinking, there's no way that this 23-year-old man has his mother right there. There's no way. So I asked him, is that your mom sitting behind you by chance? And in all seriousness, he turns around and he goes, yeah, that's my mom. I brought her. What? And then the mom turns around and she goes, hi, son. Hi, Danny. You want to know what's going through my head? Abort! So I politely finished my food, ended up finishing the date with him and his mother, thanked him for paying for my meal, said goodbye to the mom, and I ran to my car so fast. But yeah, I have not talked to him, seen him, or his mother since then. So yeah, now I can say that I've been on a date with a guy and his mom.
Tell me you're gonna be a crazy mother-in-law without telling me. Just going for a nice little shadow of your date. Oh, I just want to make sure everything's going well.
Just ignore me. I'll be right here. Just ignore me. It's fine.
Did she pay at least? Did mommy put down her Amex? And this is why I like chose the topic that I did for the pilot that I wrote. Everyone has had an absolutely horrendous date. I have never met a person who hasn't had a bad date. And feel free to share your bad date stories in the comments. I love reading them. In terms of mine, you're just gonna have to watch the swipe life.
Tell me about your worst first date. I'll go first. I've been on 2 dates where men have brought up injuries to their balls on the very first conversation I've ever had with them. That is a no-no. I don't want to hear about your balls. I don't even want to think about your balls. Even when I'm dating you, I don't want to think about your balls, hear about your balls. Why would you do that on the first date?
Big ones.
Ooh, on the first date. Literally, it's not even on the first date. Just don't go there. Like, why are we so comfortable? You're too comfortable too quick.
It's the worst first date I've ever been on. I'm so glad you asked. I'm gonna tell you right now. Before I met my smoke show of a husband, I was on dating apps, as you do. This man messages me out of the blue and he goes, I like your face, let's go get some food. I love food. Are you my soulmate? He says, meet me at my house. I will drive us to the restaurant together. Why did we not just meet there? I have no idea. I drive 45 minutes to his house. He's standing outside of it. He walks up to my car and he goes, I've lost my keys. Can you drive us there? Should I have just left him right there and gone home? Yes. Did I? Absolutely not. He gets in, starts giving me turn-by-turn directions. We end up at a Taco Bell, which is fine. I'm like, dine-in or drive-through? And he's like, drive-through. And I'm like, great, he has a plan. We get to the speaker and he just leans over and goes, I would like 100 hard-shell tacos, thank you.
No.
We get to the window. He does one of these numbers. I'm like, did you forget your wallet? He's like, yeah. I was like, do you need me to pay? He's like, yeah.
No.
I'm like, yeah. I buy the 100 tacos and I'm like, where to next? And he goes, back to my house. And I was like, okay, this is happening.
You got played, girl.
I'm committed to this now.
No.
It's happening.
No.
We get to his house, we walk in, his dad is on the couch. I'm like, he lives with his dad. It's fine. The hoops I am teleporting through to convince myself that this decision that I have made is okay is just wild. Walk past his dad into the kitchen. He just starts emptying the boxes of tacos, just releasing them onto the table. Puts 2 chairs at the table, sits down, and he just screams at the top of his lungs, let's feast. I am just calmly unwrapping my taco and taking a bite of it. We are eating hard-shell tacos in complete silence. You can hear both of us chewing. It's absolute chaos.
Ew.
The dad walks up, grabs a taco. There's 100 of them.
Oh,
we have
no.
so many to spare.
No.
He's eating over us, just like standing. Doesn't sit, stands right next to the table. Crunches, mouth full. He just looks at me and he goes, do you want to see my studio?
No.
And I was like, I have never wanted to see anything less in my entire life. It was that moment that I decided this date was completely over, or else I was going to be killed, 100%. I am now just like collecting the tacos because I paid for them. I walk out with boxes of tacos in my purse. I look back and I was like, thank you for this experience. You will never hear from me again.
Girl, you got played.
They played us like a damn fiddle!
He was like, I don't have any money for dinner. I'm just gonna hit up some girl on a dating app and play her like a violin.
Gotta write that down.
Sorry, sorry, can you get this? Get the fuck out of here, man. I think we need a name. We need a name drop because it should be illegal. And when guys pay for the meals all the time, Charlotte. Literally, shut up. That is embarrassing. Worst first date from when I was 250 pounds. Oh, wow. Okay, buckle up, friends.
Seen a trend going around where we're telling our worst first date stories, and I have one from when I weighed 250 pounds, and it is just terrible. I had just gotten out of this like 4-year relationship with this guy. I never thought I'd be going on a date, but I was like, I have to get back out there. I was so nervous though because I was 250 pounds and we all know how men treat big girls. Nonetheless, I wanted to be like everybody else, so I got on Tinder and I started swiping, and lo and behold, I found Paul. That is his real name. Paul, if you see this,
oh yes,
pulls up in
we
his
love a
little
name.
slug bug at my apartment, and I get in, and he immediately is rude to me. I can tell that he does not like me, my size, any of that. Takes me to Texas Roadhouse and does not talk to me for the 30 minutes that we have to wait for a table. It's extremely awkward. We sit down, he orders his fish or whatever, recommends that I eat a salad.
Stop.
And since I'm mortified, I order one. After we get done eating, he takes me to the grocery store because apparently his dad told him he needed to pick up like a bottle of wine or something for him, but I'm underage, so he has me stand like awkwardly by myself while he buys it. He drives me home and I'm like, thank God this date is over. No! He walks me up to my door and I thought I was gonna be like, okay, you know, thank you for the date. You didn't really pay me any mind, but whatever. See ya, never. No, he forces himself into my apartment.
No!
Which, at that point, I pretty much knew what was going down, and I was way too scared to set any boundaries about it, so I started drinking some vodka. I was in my room for all of 5 minutes before things started happening. I was so uncomfortable. I didn't know what to do, what to say. It all happened within literally, it wasn't even 5 minutes long. And then he left. And that was it. And the next day I wanted to apologize to him for seeming weird, and he never Never replied back to me. Fast forward to when my TikTok kind of blew up and obviously I had lost weight and stuff, and Paul came back around, and I just wanted you guys to know they come back around. It was a terrible date though, and I will never do that again. Ugh. Tinder was not for me.
First of all, I'm very sorry that that happened to you. I think lots of women have had an experience like that and it feels awful. And I really don't mean to bring down the vibes of this video. We like to have a good time on this channel, but I think that's kind of like an important thing to note is that you're not alone. That happens way more often than anyone would like to admit. And I'm really sorry and you deserve better. That guy, what's his last name? Let's go! Let's go! Potatoes assemble! And guess what? It is true. They always come back around. So don't be sad about a dusty guy, guys. They crawl back on their hands and knees. Crawling. Hello, remember me? Remember me? And you say, no.
That's all.
You don't give him a second chance. You're literally, sorry, who's this? I don't remember you. We need to liven things up a bit. That bummed me out. Hopefully this one's funny. Give me some funny.
Put a figure down if you dated this guy. He took you to Barnes & Noble on your first date, so you thought that was really sweet. And then a few dates later, he flew you on his private jet, which threw you off guard. And then a few dates later, he took you to his 300-foot yacht, which really threw you off guard. And then a few dates later, he got you a personal driver and a personal assistant who wanted to know who you were 24 hours a day, but you thought it was for safety. You didn't question it because you felt like Cinderella and you felt really grateful. And then a few dates later, you got an email from an angry girl claiming to be his fiance. When you asked him about it, he said she was crazy and that it wasn't true, but you went with your gut and you broke up with him anyway because you didn't trust him. And then 3 months later, an FBI agent called and says you need to come in for questioning and that they have something they have to tell me. And so you find out from an FBI agent that this man had been dating you and 10 other women, and he had put a GPS tracker on your car. He had hired someone to photograph you 24 hours a day and log everywhere you went, and he put a camera in your apartment without you knowing, and now he's going to jail for a really long time.
Can't say I can put a finger down. Always be wary of men that want to fly you places. Always. Nothing is free in this world, honey. If he's that rich and powerful, he's probably weird. I'm just saying. The richer and more powerful they are, the weirder they are. Trust me. They get a little money, they get a little power, and then all of a sudden they're like, I don't know what that was. And also they have tiny dicks too.
Burn. Some advice for people who date men. Guys don't always understand how women's clothing works, so I would suggest not wearing a bodysuit on the first date. I'm making out with this guy once and he goes to take my shirt off and he yanks with the power of 1,000 men.
No!
I believe I lost the ability to bear children in that moment. Until you can assess his knowledge of women's clothing on like a second date, leave the bodysuits at home.
So he gave you a massive wedgie, girl? Oh, jeez. I prefer my bad dates without wedgies. Thank you very much. Subscribe!